Merry Christmas, everyone. Mike Chase here, back again with another Madden wish list for Madden 25 this time. Madden 24 saw some nice improvements to franchise mode. We actually have a couple of them right here. We had the return of training camp minigames, the additional trade slots, extra draft picks that could force to be traded, a couple extra years on that. Ability to edit draft class strength. You can do this by position actually. 15 new relocation cities, contract restructuring, staff talent tree expansion. So if you're someone who actually does play the mode, I feel like some people who kind of bag on it don't actually play it. They did add, I think, a decent amount of stuff here. Maybe a little more under the hood, but I think they made some really good additions to this mode. But there is still much work to do. So that is what we will be getting into today. And before we do that, be sure to leave a like, be sure to hit subscribe. That always helps with the channel. And yeah, keep up with this. Probably gonna start doing some more Madden 25 wish lists. I think now is like kind of the time to start doing it. I'm pretty sure now is when they probably start really getting into that that phase of getting this game ready and going. So let's get into it here. Number one on this list is going to be an updated, overhauled sim engine. This feels like one of the most important things EA could do for Madden 25, in my opinion. The current Madden sim engine bases team success not on overall roster construction, team overall, just the players on the roster. It bases it on playbooks. If you played Madden 24, you know that in simulation, the Cowboys and Chiefs playbooks are usually the best. We know that's not really realistic whatsoever. I mean, you can have a great playbook if you don't really have the players that can, execute it. They're not going to go up and, if you have a bad quarterback but you have a good playbook, he's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. But that's kind of how it works in Madden. This year, you will likely never see the Chiefs struggle, kind of like how they've been this year in the current sim engine. It's been a struggle for them. Why? They don't have the receiving talent. Their receivers aren't as good. Their playmakers aren't as good. So the offense at times struggles. I think it's just not possible to see that in Madden currently. It's why so many times playing Madden, you'll see teams with losing records, but then you actually, with high overalls, but when you actually play them, they're actually good. They just have the wrong playbooks. Playbooks being such a big part of the sim engine, it's kind of annoying, I think. Games aren't won because one team, and I get this, games aren't won because one team is theoretically a high overall. We know it's football. Anything can happen any given Sunday, or sometimes Thursday, or sometimes Monday, and rare times Saturday in the NFL. But I would say tipping the scale towards team overalls instead of playbooks would probably be a good start on the new sim engine. This is, I think, an important aspect EA has to get right because, instead of it just being, playbooks, it being more based on the actual teams that are simulating, I think you would have a richer franchise experience. I think you would see teams, probably drafting where they should be drafting, things like that. I just think it would be really important to see that. I think one of the things also, you rarely see teams sort of rise and fall in franchise because if they have the same coach and playbook, they're gonna stay good, right? It's just how it kind of goes. So I think that's one of the issues I have with Madden. You just rarely see that. I think you just don't see teams go from being good to bad because the roster turned over. Like, I just feel like that just doesn't happen too much in Madden, and I think we'd like to see that as well. So that is number one on the list. Overhauled sim engine. I think that's a really important thing that needs to happen for Madden 25. Number two on this list is something that I've been banging the drum about. I believe that franchise guy has been talking about just updated positional terminology for linebackers and outside linebackers. I think most importantly also, on the defensive line, instead of defensive tackle, left and right end, that would just simply be defensive lineman, right? I think that, if you want to add like nose tackle in there as an actual position, I think that would go a long way too. So you just have nose tackle and just defensive lineman moving forward in the actual roster thing. No more middle linebacker or outside linebacker. That's not really how the NFL talks about these position groups anymore. That would be taken up by linebacker or edge. That's it. I think updating that, I don't think it would also, I'm someone who personally, I think that would actually help, the user base of Madden kind of understand football a little bit more. Not only does it get it in line more with actual NFL position terminology, the thing that this game is supposedly supposed to be simulating, though this is how they actually talk about these position groups in the NFL. But also this will help, I think, the sim engine again in terms of simulating how these teams construct their rosters. Once you get 3 to 4 years into any franchise file, you're going to have 234 pound defensive linemen, because they're meant to be a 4-3 edge player, right? And a 4-3 edge player will be listed at defensive end in Madden currently. Instead, they got drafted, signed, or traded to a team that runs a 3-4. And in Madden, a 3-4 edge players, those are usually your outside linebackers. The same currently goes for 3-4 outside linebackers who sign with teams who run a 4-3. 4-3 defense in Madden, outside linebackers, they play in space. They drop back in the coverage, things like that. So a team could sign Rashawn Gary. I think Rashawn Gary might be listed as an outside linebacker in Madden. Could be wrong. Instead of using him to mostly rush the quarterback, pass rush, things like that, maybe sometime cover out in the flats, sometimes, he'll mostly be covering. He'll mostly be dropping back in the coverage. That's just not Rashawn Gary's role. So I know you have those kind of special position things as well that already has rush right end, rush left end, but I think even that's a little kind of reductive, honestly. I think just get these guys listed correctly, I think, is something that we want to see. Updating this terminology will just go a long way in making sure the CPU builds better teams, more realistic teams, instead of teams just being kind of all over the place and having to go in and fix team sort of defensive lineups. I have had to do this before. I've had to go in and change guys around to make sure that they actually have the right players at these spots. I should not have to do that. So I think this is long overdue in my opinion. This needs to be fixed. It needs to be changed. It needs to be updated. And I think it would, go a long way in just making the franchise experience better as you play through the franchise. Number 3 on this list is something different than what Madden currently has. And it's also from kind of 2 different sports games. I'm kind of combining features that are in 2 different sports games into one here, into Madden. And this is something from Codemasters F1 series and NBA 2K. And that is what we're going to call it, facilities, and I guess we'll call them departments, right? We'll call them departments, and kind of the My Staff feature a little bit here. We're kind of trying to move this into one. What are facilities and how would they work in Madden? Glad you asked. In Codemasters F1 series, facilities kind of determine how quickly and what upgrades you can do for your team in My Team mode. These are upgrades you earn that you can upgrade with money you earn from races. These facilities kind of determine your aerodynamics of your car. They have aerodynamic facility, a engine facility, a chassis facility, which is like the car body and things like that. Don't worry too much about this. And your reliability facility. They have a couple other different ones, but that's kind of what these are, right? Though that's kind of what these determine for your car, because a lot goes into it. There's lots of different departments working in Formula One to make a car, be good. There's lots of staff in Formula One that kind of determine the quality of those facilities, right? In NBA 2K, you have staff who are dedicated to post defense, outside shooting, those sorts of things, right? We can kind of bring both of those things kind of into Madden, right? I think that is something that could work really good. I think, there's going to be some key changes too, because, this is a football game, not a racing game. And I think expanding the staff, kind of similar to how 2K has their My Staff, I think it would work in Madden pretty well, honestly. So let's get into it right here. Let's break this down a little bit. The facilities that we would actually have. The game planning department. This would be for all your how the coaches handle your game day planning, position coaches, the coaches' facilities. The better facilities are the better coaches you can hire, right? We're going to kind of bring the star rating thing that we have from how we hire scouts. We're going to expand that out to our entire staff, right? And we're not going to put a limit on how many 3-star or 2-star staff that you can have, right? If you have great facilities If you're, let's say, assume the Kansas City Chiefs, you have great facilities. You've been winning and doing all this stuff, selling all sorts of merch, so you have great facilities. Well, good coaches are going to want to work for you, right? So I think that's something that I would like to see in this game. I think that would make sense, all right? I think it would add almost a game within the game into Madden. I think it would just really expand and make the gameplay loop pretty interesting. Not only would you have head coaches and coordinators, you also have assistant coaches as well that will learn on your staff and have a chance to move up the ranks within your organization when coordinators get hired or fired. So I think also you could have those same kind of game day boosts that we usually have if you want to have those, right? I think that'd be something that would be, cool if you want to keep, but also I think just expanding this feature out and really, I think, trying to make this a living, breathing franchise where every time you go and play, there's a couple different ways this franchise can go, right? No two franchises, I think, will really ever look the same. I think right now with Madden, a lot of franchises kind of look the same. I think with this sort of feature, with the staff, how people get hired and fired and upward mobility, I think, of the staff, I think that'd be really interesting to kind of see. So number 2 is the medical department. This is pretty straightforward. All sorts of upgrades for your staff, probably like, MRI machines, things like that, and the staff here would be sort of their recovery staff, right? Specialists, things like that. Some could be specialists in certain injuries, like, Dr. Frank could give the entire receiving group a decreased chance in suffering hamstring injuries. So also handle injury recovery. So let's say if you have Dr. Ken, he's good at helping players get back from ankle injuries quicker, but maybe he's not as good at shoulder injuries. So if players suffer shoulder injuries, maybe that could add an extra week or 2 to their recovery time. Maybe an expanded injury system as well that has more of a wear and tear effect, kind of like 2K, would be pretty interesting to see here. But I don't know if they want to get that in depth on injuries. So think things like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. Teams will also be always trying to sign away your staff too. I think that's something that should be pretty cool because currently I've never had an offensive defensive coordinator hired off of my staffs in the past few Maddens when they've kind of reintroduced coordinators. Hasn't happened yet, and this has been 3 years. So I like to see the chance of that actually happening kind of going up. That's kind of what I want to see. The number 3 department here is going to be the scouting department. Very simple. This department handles scouting. You'd hire the same amount of scouts as you do now, except we would bring back the part of the Madden 22, or the scouting system we got before the Madden 22 update. And that's where you would have a weekly allowance of scouting points and you scout prospects' top 3 skills. But we're going to make a little change here, right? We're going to bring back kind of part of the old scouting. We're going to keep some of the newer scouting. You only have until week 12 to do this. After week 12, the staff you hire would take over and then fill in the holes on the rest of these scouts, get the rest of their skills and attributes, kind of like their physical attributes, medical red flags, and player traits. I think this would be the best of both worlds because right now scouting feels a little impersonal, if that makes any sense. Upgrades would simply be things like scouting accuracy, and maybe just your staff's ability to handle scouts, because my guess would be on this, depending on the quality of your staff, out of all the prospects you would scout, you would only be able to get to a certain percentage of them that really have everything filled in. The better your staff, the ability to for them to cast a wider net and kind of fill in the holes of more prospects, I think would be something I would like to see. And your scouts would still have the same sort of star levels that they do now. 1-star, 2-star, 3-star. You can hire however many as 3-star or 2-star scouts as you would like. The question is, can you afford these scouts? Can you retain them? Things like that. It's kind of what I would envision that being. The 4th one is going to be your development department, your player training department. It would determine the amount of XP your players would get from things like training camp mini games and their weekly training, along with your, head coach and coordinators. The staff in this department would have specialties. In real life, I can give one example. The Green Bay Packers have had quarterback coach Tom Clements around for a very long time. He helped develop Aaron Rodgers. now helping to develop Jordan Love. So think things like that, players like that, or not players, but scouting, staff like that. It would help with these sorts of things. And hiring the staff can really, I think, make or break kind of your players' development. Coaching matters in the NFL. Think Al Harris in Dallas was a really good player for many years in Green Bay. Now in Dallas, with Mike McCarthy coaching up that defensive back room. So something like that, I think, would be a great way to incorporate a lot of the legends maybe that are locked away in mud. You can kind of have them in franchise as well, kind of impacting the mode, impacting the training that your players are getting and their development. Number 5 on this would be the marketing and concession department. You're not going to be setting hot dog prices yourself, but you're going to hire people to do that. This department and staff, and it would run everything that entails, making money. You're going to need money to upgrade these departments. So, yeah. Along with the money you'd get at the end, along with the money that you'd get at the end of the season from revenue sharing. So, not much to say about the marketing concessions department. Just, kind of need that other one that kind of focuses on other stuff. This is kind of just an extra one to have. So, again, all of these departments, in my opinion, would operate under the same idea that it should probably take you multiple seasons to reach max level in kind of multiple departments. I'm gonna be frank on this. I would like it so you wouldn't even be max level on any of these by the end of the second season. It would maybe take you almost 3.5 seasons to kind of really upgrade these and build these up. Upgrading them would be how you would convince better staff to work for you. So I think taking a department from 1 star to 3 stars should be kind of an accomplishment in my opinion. So that's kind of something I would like to see. That's kind of the whole department's idea, the department / my staff idea. So yeah, let's get into the rest of this list now. Number 4 on this is going to be cross-play for community creations. That's something that franchise guy had on his list, and go check out that video. And it's something that's going to be on mine. I believe Madden is next gen or current gen on PC now. PS5 and Xbox Series X or current gen. PS4 is old gen. Get over it. But I think that would allow us to get better quality draft classes. It would allow us to get, I think, better custom rosters. So I think there's a lot of things like that that would be really just better for everyone involved, personally. So crossplay for the creations would be great. So we're going to get through the end of this list here. Number 5 is going to be an overhaul of the pre-draft and actual drafts itself. Something I would like to see, this used to be in the way older man. This would be, I think, more interesting than the Pro Bowl. Generally, no one really cares about the Pro Bowl. I want to see the Reese's Senior Bowl added into the game. The Reese's Senior Bowl is where, I guess this is, it's in the name, where a lot of, upcoming prospects who are seniors play in a bowl game, kind of, so everyone can kind of get a look at them in game action, things like that. So I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to actually see in the game, as opposed from the Pro Bowl, which is no one cares about. They don't even actually play a real Pro Bowl game in real life anymore. So we don't really need the Pro Bowl anymore. It's kind of funny. They added the Pro Bowl and the NFL basically got rid of it. So I think that'd be something that I would like to see, just to use those prospects a little bit in a setting that isn't a game and play against some prospects, kind of see who stands out, who doesn't look the part, things like that. And maybe the ability to do some drills with the prospects we've already scouted and are already on our draft boards during the NFL Combine would be kind of interesting. And for the actual draft, at least for all first-round picks, I want to see the players actually walk across the stage. The jersey and hat routine. I think that'd be cool. Just something that would kind of make the draft, I think, a little more interesting, as opposed to it just being completely menu-based. Most realistic? Probably not, but I think that'd be something that'd be just nice to see. Number 6 on this list, compensatory picks. Get this in the game already. Tired of asking for it every year. For those who don't know what compensatory picks are, I'll explain it. And maybe I'm looking at this off of Google or Wikipedia and passing off as my own information, but either way, the NFL offers draft placements known as compensatory picks, designated from rounds 3 through 7 in events of specific personnel changes. These include the net loss of compensatory free agents or the hiring of a minority employee as a head coach or general manager with a different team. So if you strike out in free agency, lose players, you'll have some picks to look forward to in the next year's draft. It's realistic. Teams kind of weigh, signing players, letting players go, kind of based on these things, right? If they feel that, you know what, we don't maybe need to go out and draft for this position necessarily, where we just lost a guy, or we don't need to go out and sign someone in free agency because we just lost this guy. Us losing them means we're going to get a 4th round pick next year. So maybe we'll just draft a player instead of signing a player, I think. So I think that's kind of how teams operate at times. So I think that'll be a nice thing to do in the game. It's realistic. It's how teams kind of build out their teams. It's something that they consider. Their compensatory compensation is something that they think about. So get that in the game already. And number 7, this is our last feature here that I want in the game. I've asked for this for multiple years as well. The actual coaching carousel. This feature is likely going to be back in the new college football game that's coming out in July. I assume July. So getting this amount would be great. I also would like to see our coordinators. I mentioned this before. I'd like to see coordinators actually get hired elsewhere for once. Because again, I don't think I've ever actually had that happen. I've never had a coordinator get hired elsewhere as a head coach after I've upgraded them. They kind of just stay with you forever. I'm sure it happens sometimes, but it just doesn't seem to happen very often. I think it's more just if you fire them, then you can go through the whole hiring process of it. But I've never had to replace one because, in my Bears franchise, we have a great offense, right? This Justin Fields breaking records, all those other things. He would likely be up for a head coaching gig. Whoever my offensive coordinator is, he would probably be up for a head coaching gig. Our defense is playing very well in this season. That defensive coordinator would likely start to get, some chatter as a head coach candidate elsewhere. So it's just things like that I would like to see actually brought into the game, because these are things that actually happen in the NFL. And just something I would like to see added to the game. And it's just a good feature to have, and everyone wants it back. Everyone likes, it's a big thing of who's getting hired, who's getting fired, where are they going, so. And that'd be something that'd be pretty cool to get added into the game. So that is going to be the list. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to hit like, be sure to hit subscribe. Leave it down in the comment section below. What do you think of my list? What are some things that you would like to see added to franchise mode in Madden 25? I know it seems a little early to be doing this, but it's already December. So, we got January, February, March, April, May, and we're probably gonna start hearing about the game in around June. So we're 7 months out. That's not too long, I don't think. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't when you really think about it. So yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know. Leave what you think down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.